Yo ho ho, AFC East Roundtable. Welcome to yet another edition of your favorite NFL show on YouTube. I am one of your hosts, Dan Mitchell, and we have quite the show for you today. When it comes down into the offseason, that is essentially over with. We're all sitting here patiently awaiting for all of these OTAs, or rather training camp, ready to begin within July. And now we're sort of in this overall lull, right? It's a week where all these players are going off and they're making sure that they're doing their own personal workouts, figuring out exactly how our team is all stacked up. So in today's episode, we're going to be giving our overall grades of the offseason, things that we still want to see leading up to training camp, overall expectations, and it should be a fantastic time. Right before I end up introducing the other hosts that are involved in today's show, I do want to remind everybody that we are doing that very first ever AFC East Roundtable event, Week 1, Buffalo Bills versus New York Jets. If, for example, you still want to join, okay, and you still want to accompany this, you can find that link in the live chat pinned at the very top. And then that's going to give you a ticket to the game where you have the opportunity of sitting with myself, Tyson, TD, and Richie, and then also an exclusive tailgate party where you will be able to watch us perform a live show. There's going to be an open bar. There's going to be food provided. So if you have not already, we only have 17 tickets left. So if you want to hop in on that, highly recommend that you do so. Without further ado, let's let the cavalry in. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan, I'm glad to see that you joined us, my friend. I was getting nervous. I thought you were about to say, nah, I'm good on talking about the Jets.
Oh, no, I could talk Jets all day. I'm glad to be on here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, absolutely. We are certainly happy to have you as well. Richie had a conflict of interest this evening, but Ryan at Jets Talk 24/7, great show over there, great insight on the New York Jets, which is looking to be actually a formidable opponent going on into this 2023 season. So really excited to hear his thoughts because I, for one, have loved watching the villain arc of Richie, like week by week. As soon as when Rodgers came in, as soon as when you got a good taste of a good young defense last year, I'm seeing the villain arc and I'm loving it. And I'm assuming I'll be seeing the same thing from you. And I'm very excited to unpack that. Steven.
What up?
What's going on, brother?
What's up, my guy? How are you?
Dude, chilling. I feel like you were here. Were you here last week or were you here the week before?
I was here the week before, man. I was there the week before because last week I was down in Miami with my crew, Miami Sports Music, doing content for the NBA Finals and the NHL Finals. So I was down there live, man. I went to Game 4 of both series. It was awesome.
Got it. How was that?
It was great, except we lost.
Yeah.
So it wasn't awesome, but it was a once in a lifetime experience, and it was absolutely amazing. So I had a great time.
It's for the longest time. I felt like every single Bills or Sabres game I ever attended in person, I would say for at least 3 to 4 years, everyone I would go to, we would lose. I just broke that curse 2 years ago. So far, every time I've been, we've won. So I'm hoping the curse has been reversed. But I definitely understand that. It's absolutely terrible walking out of the stadium when your team lets you down. That's why I'm very nervous about week 1 against the Jets, because I couldn't imagine that I'm going to be getting a warm welcome from the fans, regardless of the outcome.
Hey, let me ask you real quick, and I guess this could be for the entire roundtable, but especially for you, Dan. Would you rather lose a close game? Or would you rather get blown out? Which one weighs more on you?
And so it depends on the stage, right? So playoffs, oh, that's rough. That dude,
I'm just in general. You don't have to get specific with the game. The general concept of the situation is: would you rather get blown out, or would you rather lose in a close game?
I think I would rather get blown out because at one point I accept it, right? Yep. When my team is dragging me along, thinking that we have a shot, but then my heart breaks last second. There's not many pains that are comparable to that.
Losses last second or close games are so much tougher to get over than games where you get blown out.
I think it depends on the opponent. I think a division opponent might be seen differently than maybe if the Rams blew us out or something. It's like, oh, it's, a one-off,
I mean,
whatever.
I can go with, I'll give you two examples, right? The Miami Miracle was absolutely amazing, right? But the Monday Midnight Miracle was absolutely horrible. Now that is two different things, but at the end of the day, they're both great examples of that question. And so I just was curious as to know your thoughts on it. That's all.
It's definitely something I'd be willing to unpack throughout the remainder of this episode. But of course, we forgot to introduce our guy, Patriots representative, who just so happens to be, I believe, hosting DeAndre Hopkins as we speak during this episode. Master, what's going on, brother?
Oh, nothing much, bro. Just chilling. I just want to point out the fact that the Miami Heat have lost the finals. The Florida Panthers have lost the finals.
Really?
Miami Hurricanes lost the Final Four. FAU lost the Final Four. Miami Dolphins haven't won a playoff game in 23 years. And the Marlins are the Marlins. So I just want to congratulate the Miami South Florida sports fans for being the first sports city to lose back-to-back finals and back-to-back nights as the 8th seed.
Thank you, Master at Work. I appreciate you filling me in on what I already knew, man. Thank you. I appreciate you just sticking the knife in me a little bit more. Okay, I'm already depressed about it.
Sometimes that knife just absolutely twists and it absolutely hurts. But guys, as promised today, we are going to be discussing a little bit of like what we have seen from mini camps, from OTAs in general, some questions that are still on the table for all four of our organizations. And then afterwards, we are going to let the Patreon members in. If you are not a Patreon member, some of the really cool benefits is that you get to come on the show and ask us a question. Several of you just turned this into a debate. There's really never any question ever. It's just somebody comes on and goes on a soapbox for a minute and a half. It's okay. We love you guys regardless. But if you're interested in doing that, then support us on Patreon, and you will have that opportunity into going into it. So I do want to start off with Tyson. And with OTAs, with minicamp, etc., that's all fun and games. I know that Christian Gonzalez has been going off. I know the defense has been looking good. I know that there's a bunch of sort of positive reinforcement now that the Pats actually have an offensive coordinator calling plays this year. But I wanted to hear a bit about this DeAndre Hopkins visit. I've seen you on Twitter. In fact, I saw it yesterday. I thought it was hysterical. Like, you tweeted at D-Hop and you said, "Don't come here. Mac Jones will ruin your career."
I just listen. This needs to be said. DeAndre Hopkins, if you're listening, well, you're not most likely not listening. We are, like I said, we have hosted him. I just want to know the selling point. Like, why? He's not going to help us. The selling point of why he would want to sign for the Patriots with Mac Jones, I've heard a lot of Patriots fans tell me, well, he looks good in practice, and the Allen Iverson bit, practice. So we're going to base this off, not even training camp. We're going to base this off of OTA practice as a reason why he's better now. I'm not buying the hype. As far as, like I said, DeAndre Hopkins would be an absolute fool. He should be drug tested if he signs a contract with the New England Patriots, because Mac Jones is an absolute bum. He's not going. Number one, Hopkins is an outside the numbers receiver. Mac Jones can't throw outside the numbers. He's a dink and dunk, less than assistant quarterback who can't get the ball down the field because his arm's not strong enough to get it there. He could throw it up, and hopefully D-Hop can have the hops to go get it. But I doubt that Mac Jones has the arm strength for that. I'm not, like I said, Patriots fans are very delusional right now. They're trying to talk themselves into thinking that they can do something, and you have to look at the landscape of the AFC East. The Dolphins are better than us. The Jets are better than us. The Bills are miles ahead of us. So you're trying to compete in a division with two elite quarterbacks and one quarterback that, if you put everything around him, can be elite. And we have Mac Jones, who hasn't beaten Tua, by the way. It doesn't make any sense to me where this hype is coming from. Christian Gonzalez, again, I need to see it on the field. I don't care about training. I don't care about OTAs. I don't care about practice, because here's the thing. You can look good against bums, right? You put a player like Christian Gonzalez. Who is he defending? Like, who is he going up against as a corner? Kendrick Bourne and Mac Jones is throwing him the ball. He's going to look like all-pro corner if you do that. I want to see him against another number one receiver which we do not have. So for people to say, oh, our defense looks spectacular, yeah, it's going to look spectacular when you have a trash ass offense and a trash quarterback like Mac Jones. It's practice. And they couldn't even get that right because they cheated in OTAs. They got stripped of that. They couldn't even get practice correct. This team is an absolute joke. I hope Belichick gets fired. Gerard Mayo needs to take over. There's no optimism from me going into this season. And like I said, if DeAndre Hopkins signs here, then he needs to be drug tested. He needs to be, and he's most likely going to test positive because you would have to be an absolute fool, a bamboozle. And like I said, he's probably smart enough. As soon as he comes in and he gets shown, and you see Mac Jones out there, he's probably going to run the other way. So and walk out the door without a contract. But like I said, I'm not.
You got Devontae Parker though.
Just stop it. Okay.
And Mike Gesicki.
Just stop it. Okay. And people are saying that Bill O'Brien is going to change the offense. You do know he was responsible just a few weeks ago for getting OTs taken away. Right. Like we're putting our hands in Bill O'Brien, who, by the way, also had a rift with DeAndre Hopkins, but apparently that's all under water under the bridge. Hopkins would be a fool. Go play with Mahomes. Go play with Tua. Go play with Aaron Rodgers. You don't want to come here, bro. Trust me. That's pretty much all I have to say about the Patriots.
And so Bill O'Brien as well, he did trade D-Hop for like a bag of Doritos and $3 back in the day. So I'm like really not sure how I would feel about going back to that man as well. So it's interesting to see. I mean, we'll see if he's chasing the bag, or we'll see if he does actually want to go to a contender. I have a feeling he's going to join either the Pats or the Titans, one of the two. I think he's going for more so of the money than he is.
Well, that's another thing. The only way he signs here is if we overpay him. And I don't think DeAndre Hopkins, I think he's past his prime.
No doubt. He'd get the biggest contract.
That's the only reason why he would ever sign here is for the money. And we know the Patriots are so cheap. But like I said, they're desperate right now. They need to get asses in that seats because Robert Kraft spent over $300 million on the largest outdoor a projector to the new TV screen. Wow. So they need to put fannies in the seats, and Juju Smith TikToking pregame ain't gonna get it for you because he sure as fuck ain't about to TikTok in the end zone because you know he ain't scoring no touchdowns and Mac Jones as his quarterback. So you can spend $300 million on the screen. So they're gonna have to put asses in the seats.
I've never seen fans like this, Dan. Ever.
I mean, listen, this is what's called being realistic. I mean, I know Dolphins fans, Jets fans, and Bills fans can't relate because you guys are all delusional into thinking you guys can win a Super Bowl. But listen, I know the Patriots aren't going to win anything. We're not going to be a contender. But like I told Heat fans and Panther fans, if you don't win a ring, it doesn't mean a thing. You can win as many division titles as you want. You can win as many playoff games as you want. But at the end of the day, the entire goal is to win a Super Bowl. I've seen my run. I'm content with being trash for the next decade. We'll see what happens, but I know the writing on the wall.
Can I ask you something, Master at Work? Do you really believe that Belichick getting rid of him is the answer to the next chapter?
Yes, it is because he's had his run. He had his moment in the sun for 20 years. He's given us everything he could ever possibly want. It's time to move into a different direction because if you move into a different direction with Gerard Mayo, you get rid of the stench of being cheap. You get rid of the stench of that fraudulent Patriots way, which was the Brady way the entire time. You get a coach in it who actually played the game of football, and he has a different message. So
nobody dislikes Belichick more than the three of us, but we can all respect it and say that the man is probably top 3 greatest coach of all time.
Yeah, I'm not taking that. Well, no one's taking it away from him, but even some of the greatest coaches of all time, Shula. Right. Even the great coaches lose it. The time has passes them by. Okay.
And Belichick's time is gone.
This is not trying to diminish any of his accomplishments. But as far as right now, the new era, you need a mobile quarterback. You need to have talent. You need to be able to draft and entice free agents to come to your team. The NFL is different than it was when we had Brady. Brady took the pay cuts because he could.
Do you believe that your owner chose the wrong side and should have went with Brady instead of fighting with Belichick?
Yes, he did. He definitely took the wrong side.
That's all I wanted to know. That's very interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't disagree that like Belichick's probably past his time, but I don't know if the Patriots are going to get rid of him while he's still in the hunt for the like
Just Shula record, and that's what I'm most afraid of. But here's the thing: I know if
the only reason he's still there.
Here's the thing: he needs, I think, 15. He can do it in 2 seasons. He needs to win an average of 10 games in the next 2 seasons to pass Shula because he's 18 away from passing him. Mm-hmm. If they only win 3-4 games, because I have them projected to win 3 to 4 games this season. If they do that, they're gonna fire him.
I at least have him at like 5 or 6.
No, even if he wins 5 or 6, he can't pass.
Good enough to get you 5 to 6 wins as head coach.
What would you? All right, Tyson. What would you say? Like, what would make you be like, okay, like I'm willing to give like Bill one more year after this one? How far does he need to go this year for you to be like, all right,
for me to have him next year too?
Yeah. How far?
Okay, so he has to get to 10 wins, but he has to win a playoff game.
It has to win a playoff game.
No, that's a must. You have to win a playoff game.
I'm telling you right now, if that man wins at minimum, all he needs to win is 5 games. If he wins 5, and he then would be what, gentlemen? 13 away from the all-time lead?
No, because he's 18 away.
He's 18. So 5 would put him what?
13 away.
13 away.
And you really believe he can win 13 games the following season?
No, but I think he'll stay another.
Okay, then. No.
But then all you need is 6 or 7 wins over the next 2 years.
I'm going to be honest with you. As much as I hate Miami, I don't give a damn about the Don Shula record.
I mean, I don't want him to break our record. Let's just get that straight. I'm just telling you the reason he's still in head coaching mode, because honestly, what makes sense for him is to step down, become the full-time GM, and
no,
head coach.
Absolutely not. Bill the GM is the reason why we got in here in the first place. He's a great coach, but his GM is the reason why we're in this position in the first place. Because look at some of the players we've drafted. We haven't drafted a Pro Bowler since 2013.
But I mean, the man is easily one of the smartest coaches in the history of the game.
That's what I said. I said Bill the GM needs to be fired. I don't have a problem with Bill the coach. The coach is going to get you the wins.
It's the same GM that is consistently brought in, who doesn't care when a player's up for contract, because he can bring in his replacement right behind him. And
because Brady was the quarterback. He hasn't drafted a Pro Bowler since 2013.
Okay.
This all happened because Brady took the pay cut because they weren't paying the greatest quarterback of all time top-notch money. If Brady was getting the type of money that Mahomes and Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers was getting, Belichick wouldn't be able to maneuver the roster to get the cheap. He wasn't be able to get to go bargain hunting every year. Brady is the reason why the Patriots were able to bargain hunt. He can't do that no more, and he can't spot talent, which is why they fired his ass, because those draft picks had nothing to do with Belichick. By the way, I just want to let people know that.
Well, and so we all heard about the Pats right now. Looks like it's gloomy over in Foxborough, at least from our Patriots representative today. But we definitely always appreciate all of that feedback. I do want to switch over to some of these other teams. I want to talk to Ryan. Ryan, what's going on with the Jets? I saw that you guys ended up canceling your entire mandatory minicamp. I know the Bills actually ended up canceling their last day earlier today. But, I mean, realistically, like overall, very exciting offseason for you guys. Are there still any question marks for the New York Jets? They've been very busy this offseason in a lot of different acquisitions, still stacked with youth. Are there any question marks about this team going into the 2023 season? And what are you hoping to find out in training camp in a month?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of training. I think there's a lot of questions still to be answered. I think there's a lot of hope for Jet fans after seeing how we performed last year with Zach Wilson at quarterback. Obviously, even having an average Aaron Rodgers would be a huge upgrade for us. But how is Brees going to respond to that ACL tear? Is he going to be the same guy we saw last year? I think that's still a concern. I think that's why you're seeing, some rumblings or rumors of Dalvin Cook maybe coming into the fold. I don't know if I necessarily buy that. I think it's more of like he wants to go to Miami, but he's trying to get a little bit more money out of Miami to go there. As far as the weapons go, I like Lazard. I like Garrett Wilson. I think as long as the team can stay healthy, I don't think the Jets are going to go down to their 5th and 6th tackles like they did last year. That was kind of a wacky sort of situation. We just lost Chuck Clark. We think for the season, we don't actually know if it's confirmed yet, but he might have a torn ACL. We bring in Adrian Amos, which not a bad addition. Joe Douglas actually drafted him while he was in Chicago. So a little bit of a familiar face there. Guy doesn't miss a game. I think he's played every game for the last 5 years. So I think stability across the board is big for the Jets. And then how does Aaron Rodgers perform at 40 years old? The guy's, father time catches up to everyone. And we've seen, the greats, when it starts to fall off, it falls off quick. But at the same time, I'm watching him. He's smiling. He's having fun. It seems like the players that do know him from, the Packers or even just friends of his, it seems like he's got a new life about him. I mean, going out to all the different New York events, he's been to the hockey games, he's been to the basketball games, he's going to the concerts. I love watching him saying, "Oh, the Jets have won the Super Bowl," with confetti falling down at the T Swift concert. Love it. Absolutely love it. It's everything that I'm hoping he's envisioning. I'm hoping he was on some ayahuasca trip and just sort of envisioned it. And that's everything that we're getting from him. But second year players like Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, Jermaine Johnson, how are these guys going to take the next step? I think there's a lot of hope as far as maybe position battles or things of that nature. Corey Davis, is he going to be on the team? Are we going to bring in another wide receiver weapon? I know Hopkins was kind of, talked about a little bit by Jet fans. It doesn't seem like there's any interest either by the Jets or him. I think the Jets would like to hold on to Corey. When you look at some of the other positions, linebacker still raises a few questions. Are the Jets going to bring back Quan Alexander? Defensive line wise, it seems like we're kicking some of our guys that were outside guys like Clemens, like John Franklin Myers, gaining a little bit more weight, maybe kicking them inside along Quinnen Williams. When does Quinnen Williams' contract get paid? I think that happens probably before training camp. I'm not overly concerned with that, but there still is there's a lot of questions with the Jets, but there's a lot of reason to be optimistic if you're a Jet fan, especially after the last few years. We haven't really had a whole lot to go into a season and be excited. Like last year, the Jets got to 6-3 or 7-3, whatever we were at that point. And, then the expectations were wow, the Jets, could do something this year, but we haven't had, positive vibes going into a season since 2010 or 2011, I guess, before that season. So I think lots of hope, and I think the pieces could fall into the right places, and the Jets could be a very dangerous team this year.
Now, do you see an entire offensive scheme facelift this year with Aaron Rodgers being on the team? Because I do know that you guys love running the ball, especially when Breece Hall was there. Still had two youngish quarterbacks. Now that you have that veteran presence there, is this entire offensive scheme going to be something that you are not used to seeing in the past? Is this an entire different offensive scheme that we should be looking at?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely going to be a team that wants to run the ball. When you look at Hackett and you look at Robert Saleh, their time in Jacksonville together, they wanted to run the ball with Bortles and Fournette. And I think you could see something similar with Breece and the Carter and Bam and the kid we drafted from Pitt, Izzy. I think the confidence of having Rodgers is good. I think you're probably going to see him break the Jets all-time, single season yardage record, the touchdown record, because it's not very high. I think the Jets passing record's just over 4,000 yards, 4,015 yards or something like that. Touchdown-wise, I think it's 30 touchdowns. So I do think this is the best team that Rodgers has had around him. And I think the comfort level of knowing the offensive coordinator already, combined with knowing Lazard and knowing Cobb and maybe having, Billy Turner as one of your tackles at one point, or having, just familiarity around the building. I think the Jets are set up to really have an impressive offensive system, but limiting mistakes and all that is just, they can attack you a bunch of different ways. And I don't think they want to force Rodgers to throw a ton, but if you get into a battle with a Mahomes or with a Josh Allen and you need to score a lot of points, I think the Jets are going to be able to do that as well. So I do think it's going to be different than what we saw out of Mike LaFleur. And the nice thing about that for Jet fans is you're getting, a second gasp for players that maybe underperformed while with Mike LaFleur. So maybe Michael Carter bounces back. Guys like Laken Tomlinson didn't have a great year last year. Maybe you have something out of Mekhi Becton. I mean, heck, we didn't even get to see him play under LaFleur except for training camp 2 years in a row. Then you got, the wide receivers, just Corey Davis bounced back. The tight ends didn't really get involved last year. How is that going to look? I think there's a lot of optimism, and I think it's going to be weird as a Jet fan seeing some actual offense, even if it's just middle of the pack. If we're talking 10 to 15th ranked offense, with the Jets defense the way it's been playing and the way it performed last year, I think the Jets are going to win a lot of games.
I have to question you on something, man. You said, and this is a quote that you had just said, that this is the best team that Aaron Rodgers has had around him in his career. Is that come on now? Let's be honest here for a second, my guy.
I mean, the last time Rodgers had a top 10 defense, he won a Super Bowl, and the Jets were top 5 in defense last year. I mean, he's never had like a number 1 wide receiver, a first-round pick wide receiver, and he's got 2 right now. Like, yeah, I definitely think this is the best he's ever had.
I agree with Ryan.
And so, in Ryan's defense, I can at least say that this is the best team he's had around him in a very, 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 very,
very long time. That's a fact. But to say that this
you're talking 13 years. He won a Super Bowl in 2010, right?
Let's be honest with ourselves, guys. Like, if you go back and look at that Green Bay team that won the Super Bowl, and I'm doing it right now, I'm going to look at his wide receivers were Donald Driver, Greg Jennings, Jordy Nelson, running backs. Nobody there really in the running back room. I'll give you running backs. The offensive line was great.
The Jets' offensive line is definitely a spot of concern.
Healthy, yeah. Top of the league.
I mean, I'm looking at his team in 2010 when he won the Super Bowl, and I'm telling you right now, I mean, I don't think that this team in any way, shape, or form is less than what is currently on the New York Jets roster. I'm going to have to disagree with you on that. I do think it's the best team he's been on since 2010. But it's not better than the team he won the Super Bowl with in 2010. It's not. It's just not.
Well, I think statistically, I mean, when you have a top 5 defense in the New York Jets and you had Zach Wilson and Mike White throwing the football, I mean, you're not even given an opportunity to pass rush. The Jets never even got to play their brand of football because we were always behind in every down and distance. I think the rest of the Jets team is going to look even better than we saw last year with just competent quarterback play. I mean, I think Zach ranked like 36th or 39th in quarterback play last year. So if you're getting top 15 or even 16 ranked quarterback play, it's going to be a pretty substantial leap forward.
You just have to hope that you get the same amount of production from the defense. And I think they will, because that team was very young and they're going to have a year under their belts. I do think it's going to regress a
little bit. I would say Jets finish top 10 in defense instead of top 5, but I do think that I think it's tough to duplicate defensive performance year over year
because offenses got better around the AFC, and I think it will regress a little bit.
Significantly better, though. And so, have offenses in the AFC East gotten significantly better? I'm talking about.
No,
I wouldn't say none of us.
I think the Jets can stick with anyone as far as like our defense against any team's offense. I mean, you look at what they did to Josh Allen last year. I mean, I feel like even Mahomes, like. Yeah, he's going to be the best player on the field, but I think the rest of that Kansas City offense, I think the Jets defense can keep them in check. And you look at how they performed. The Jets are built to pass rush and then take advantage of errant throws. And when the Jets got down in on the scoreboard and teams were running on them, that's when you saw the weakness on the Jets team. So if you can score some points where other teams now have to throw the ball and they're not running on you, I think you're going to see more of the success that you saw towards the beginning of last season and at points in the middle part of the season.
And so I'm super excited to see what the Jets can do. I just hope that they don't catch fire until after week 1. I really hope that Rodgers goes out there. It's taken a while for him to get the groove on with the new offense, and he doesn't figure it out for a couple of weeks. Just give me that dub, just that giant, Josh Allen Madden cover celebration. Prove everybody wrong. Show that Stephon Diggs wants to be there. We'll see what's going on. But, okay, so Jets, excited to see how their season comes along in 2023. Now we have to talk about the Miami Dolphins. Steve, what is going on, man? I know that you guys had an interesting, OTA season. I know that – was minicamp this week or –
OTAs have just ended recently. I'm not sure if minicamps were this week. For the simple fact that I'm still kind of in just getting out of NBA and NHL mode. Here's what I will say about the Miami Dolphins right now. There's a lot of things to go over. First thing is, the person who has not been present for off-season workouts. And that is somebody that I was, not expecting to not be there. I thought if there was anybody that was going to hold out, it would have been Christian Wilkins for somebody who deserves a restructure. And that wasn't the case. And what I think Miami right now, post June 1st, I think they have 13 or 14 million in salary cap because of the Byron Jones post June 1st cut. Yeah. And so looking at what the Dolphins need to do right now, there's a lot of things that when it comes to restructures, Zach Seiler, somebody that's, a name be thrown around that is looking at a restructure. Christian Wilkins obviously is looking at a restructure. And all these players want to extend and get more money. So it'll be very interesting to see how the Dolphins address players on their current roster and restructuring and extending these contracts. The other thing is, how does Miami address other needs, not even given into the Dalvin Cook situation yet? The Miami Dolphins still have to address the offensive line in some way, shape, or form, right? We went out and we got Isaiah Wynn, former New England Patriot product. I think that's low risk, high reward there, just based on how we got him. I don't know what he still has in the tank.
Nothing.
Perfectly honest.
Absolutely nothing.
And I really, I told you the last time I was on the show, I wanted Brandon Shell to re-sign with Miami. He doesn't. He ends up going to Buffalo. I really think he got a good guy, and I think you're going to be very happy with him being a Buffalo Bill. And I think you're going to love him. So I think there's a couple of people out there that have question marks. Dalton Risner, offensive lineman, played with the Denver Broncos. DJ Fluker looks to be in the best shape of his career. Had a buttload of injuries over the last few years, but he does look to be in good health, and he looks like somebody that could make a difference on this roster. At least looking at the videos of him cut, and he just looks lean and he looks good. So I know that the Dolphins need to figure out a way to deal with the depth of their offensive line. And then, obviously, what do they do with Dalvin Cook? The Dalvin Cook situation is something that, look, he's wanting a little over $10 million. The Dolphins want to pay him around $5 million. I said this a couple of weeks ago. I said he wants $8 to $12 million. So I was right in the range of where, he wanted to be at. I said Dolphins want to get him for less than $5 million. I think there's a way to make both sides happy, and that's do a long-term deal with a big signing bonus and make the salary cap hit low for this year. I ultimately think Dalvin Cook is going to sign after training camp officially starts. There's no reason for him to be on anybody else's roster before the start of training camp. We all know that running backs are undervalued in NFL right now. And, he wants a number that, frankly, there's not too many teams that want to pay him or pay any running back for that matter, that type of money. If I'm correct, Saquon Barkley is franchise tagged. Am I correct in saying that, gentlemen? And,
yes.
And he's probably about to sit out this year. He's probably about to sit out.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if he does, it's going to be like 10.6 mil, something like that. Josh Jacobs is another guy who's up there, also on the franchise tag, if I'm correct. And I believe he's going to get around a little over 10. So running backs in general are very undervalued. And at the end of the day, I don't know what happens with Dalvin. Is he
the number one? I have a question. Is he the number one destination for, is he vehemently came out and said that he wants to be a Miami Dolphin?
So I had his agent, Zach Hiller, on my show several weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And, he said something without saying something. And basically it was something to the effect of, can't wait to get some bathing suits, new bathing suits, custom bathing suits made for that South Florida weather this season. And so I took that as, okay, he's telling me something without telling me something. And I think ultimately he wants to be here, but the numbers got to work. And right now, I think there's a side where he's also got to worry about the running backs in general in the NFL right now. And if he goes and signs for something less than $5 million, he's hurting the market for running backs. And right now, if you want me to be honest about player-wise, Saquon, Josh Jacobs, and Dalvin Cook should all put their feet in the sand and basically sit out. If one of them sit out, it's not going to matter.
Dalvin Cook's unsigned, though.
Sit out, it'll make a difference with running.
Dalvin Cook has to sit out. He's not signed.
Who?
Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, he doesn't have to sign. If you get what I'm saying, like he still valued, teams want him. They just don't want him at the number that he wants.
Is there any other team that are looking at trying to get Dalvin Cook besides Miami?
Yeah, I mean, look, the New York Jets and I think the Buffalo Bills are somewhat interested in him. I don't think he'll go to Buffalo for the simple fact is he doesn't want to take playing time away from his little brother, who's also there as the number 2.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's teams like Dallas. It's very interesting to see what they're going to do. Tony Pollard has I love Tony Pollard, but he's got an injury bug, right? Ezekiel's not there anymore. It'd be interesting to see what happens there. Philadelphia, when it's all said and done, always are in the market for, a big primetime player. And I could see them going after Dalvin or hell, even Ezekiel.
Isn't Miles Sanders gone?
Who?
Miles Sanders, is he still an Eagle?
No, he's on the Panthers now.
Yeah, I think he's on the Panthers now, yeah.
What is the Eagles running back? Who are the running backs?
Swift.
DeAndre Swift.
They did get him.
Okay.
But still, I don't put it past Philadelphia to make a move. What I'm saying is there are plenty of teams out there that would want Dalvin Cook's services. As far as the Dolphins are concerned, it's not a high priority for them. I really don't know what their high priority is, because if it was up to me, my first priority would be 1A and 1B, restructuring Christian Wilkins and Zach Seiler, and Connor Williams, who's sitting out right now. And Mike McDaniel went up at the press conference and was like, well, we didn't know he was not going to be here, but I'm not too concerned about it, but he's not here. Connor Williams is kind of in a boat too, because the Dolphins' offensive line sucks, to be perfectly honest with you. And Connor Williams is one of the bright spots. So he's in the last year of his deal. It kind of makes sense for him to say, you know what? You guys need me, so pay me, because I'm ultimately one of the best offensive linemen you have on my team. When it comes to players demanding contracts and demanding money, because I've had multiple conversations with NFL players and former NFL players, I get where they're coming from. I understand it. When an average fan looks at it, they're like, they're sitting there complaining they're getting millions. Just understand it from the standpoint of what their counterparts are getting paid at that position. And job security is anybody wants. And, Moneyball says a 1-year contract to a player is the same thing that it says to a manager. Not enough faith, not enough, we don't have enough faith in you. So players want that long-term safety net to feel like you guys value me. You guys understand me.
What's the Tua situation? That's what we all want to know. What's the Tua situation?
What are you talking about with Connor Williams?
No, just Tua in general. Like, what does he look like in camp? Did he lose the baby fat, the tattoo?
Well, here's something about Tua as far as Tua is concerned. One of the things that I love about Tua is he's finally in a offensive system that for the first time in 5 or 6 years, he's not learning a new playbook. He's getting, and here's another thing that's great about it. He's not really learning new personnel. He's got the same center. He's got the same wide receivers. Hell, he's got all the same running backs. So, I mean, he's not learning everything. And by the way, the offense was a top 10 offense last year. Their tight end was Gesicki, who's now up in New England. They didn't utilize him properly at all. So they finally got the type of tight end that they want in there with Eric Saubert and the guy that they drafted in the 6th round, the wide receiver, Hudgens, I think is his name. So I think the Miami Dolphins, as far as offense is concerned, I mean, they're loving it right now. And Tua's probably never had more confidence in himself or the people around him in his entire career, and that includes college, because he knows the playbook. He's getting a second year to get timing down even more, and there's no reason for me to think that he's going to regress a second year, because they're just going to get better. They're going to get better.
But it's not a matter of that. Anything you said, it's a matter of his injuries. Can he stay healthy for 17 years?
So health is a totally different story, right? And I would be naive and lying to you for me to sit here and say Tua's going to be fine this year, because the reality of the situation is, gentlemen, he's not shown that yet. And until he does, I can't sit up here and tell lies to you guys and say he's going to be great. He's going to be healthy. Let's not worry about it. His health is the number one question mark of Tua. It's not his playing ability. It's not. It's his health. It's his health. And
can he win
stay healthy?
and can he win games down the stretch?
Well, part of the reason he didn't win games down the stretch last year is he was hurt. And that was, we found that out afterwards. He played that entire Green Bay game, if I'm correct, with a concussion. And it wasn't found out until 2 days later that McDaniel was sitting there watching game film with him. And he's like, you need to go to the doctor, man. Something's wrong.
Except for the Niners game and the Chargers game, right? That wasn't health related.
Look, when it comes, look, this is a major discussion that we have within our community about the Niners and Chargers games when it comes to Tua. And, the thing that I'll say is Tua played a part in those losses. Don't get it twisted. Look, the first half, I think he had less than 25 yards passing in the Chargers game. He missed a lot of wide open receivers in this first half of the San Francisco game, but they are not the only reasons we lost those games. There are other reasons for that. And, they all play a part into it. I don't put the full blame on Tua. But
you do realize, although he won't shoulder the entire blame, when your team went on a crazy run like you did, and you lose literally five out of the last 6 games, and it's a lot to do with the quarterback play. The quarterback deserves.
He wasn't there for most of those games. He wasn't there.
Well, I'm talking about the Niners game, the Chargers game, the Packers game, and
look, at the beginning of the year, we all kind of do these early, way too early predictions of what we think our record's going to be, right? I'm sure on all of our channels, we've probably gone down, okay, this game looks like it's going to be that. This stretch of games is going to be very interesting here. What I will say to you, gentlemen, is this. Last year, Dolphins fans knew, all right, we're going to be good. But when that bye week hits and we got to go to the West Coast and then we got to come back and play Buffalo, and those 3 weeks, that's going to tell a lot about where the Dolphins are at. And I'll say they didn't play well in San Diego. They didn't play well in San Francisco. But let's be honest, that Buffalo game, we should have won that game. And Dan can't sit there and tell me that the Dolphins didn't play well or Tua didn't play well in that night game that Saturday night. We played great.
Yeah,
it was a great game.
Except for the last drive when the snow started coming.
And the dildos started coming on the field, and we're not gonna throw that out there. The fans are absolutely.
At the end of the day, Steven, let's just keep it a buck, right? When the pressure's on, when the most important time happens in that fourth quarter, Tua shrivels. He's shown it so many times.
I will say that he needs to prove otherwise. Exactly. But I also think that the man was an MVP candidate for 2/3 of the season last year.
Yeah, I can agree to that. But at the end of the day, your entire season coming up is going to be based on effective. Can you win a playoff game with Tua? And it has to be Tua to win.
You're right. Here's the thing: it's to me, and Dolphin fans think it's unfair for me to say, oh my God, the Dolphins must go to the AFC Championship game. They haven't won a playoff game in 20 plus years, right? It's unfair for me to say they need to win at least 2 playoff games. The reality of the situation is with the people, with the roster that they have, if they don't at least get to the AFC Championship game, it's a fail on every level for the Dolphins. Now, that's unfair because they haven't won a playoff game in 20 plus years, but the Dolphins put themselves in this position.
It's not unfair, Stephen, because the roster that is on the roster you've built is in an AFC Championship game at least
minimum.
Type of roster.
Minimum, yes. I mean, look, and if they get Dalvin Cook, they're a Super Bowl contender.
And it's crazy because if I look at the Bills, the Jets, and the Dolphins, every single roster you guys have should at least make the AFC Championship game. One of you guys.
Right.
That's a fact. And it'll be a huge disappointment if not one of you teams at least get to the AFC Championship game.
It's funny because, I mean, for the longest time, I was sitting there and I was saying, you know what? I think the AFC East has a really good opportunity of having 3 teams represent the playoffs this year. But then I sort of took a step back. And then I looked at the AFC North and then I looked at the AFC West. And I could realistically make an argument for the top 3 teams in all of those divisions, not including so with the AFC South, because I think that's just going to be Jacksonville completely runs away with it. But this AFC is so up in the air, so many talented teams. I have no idea what this playoff standings is going to look like going on to this year. And that's a hill.
This is the most exciting season, I think I can. Obviously, my team's going to be trash, but I can sit back and watch and enjoy you guys fight it out. Like I'm literally really excited for this season because I really believe that, especially in this division,
You're a football fan, Master at Work.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I'm a football fan. I'm a fan of the history, but it's actually great not to be in the middle of it and not have any expectations going in. It's actually not kind of nice to just sit down in the basement and just chill and just watch everybody fight it out. Because at the end of the day, all three of you can't win a Super Bowl, and it will be a major disappointment if one of you don't end up at least in the Super Bowl. I'm just gonna be honest.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, I think that's a great transition as far as talking about the Buffalo Bills and what's been going on with them during the offseason. Yeah, I mean, really just to go ahead and address that. I think a themed question of this recently has been like, hey, like, what's your ceiling, or like, what's your basement floor of your expectations for this team going into it? I'll start off by saying this. I have a Super Bowl or bust. And so I have a Super Bowl victory or bust for the Buffalo Bills right now. I think this is probably going to be one of the last seasons where we have legitimately a full strength roster, because next year there's so many unrestricted free agents that are going to be on the table. Our money is not looking too hot. We're going to have to make some very difficult decisions. And while Bean has done, I guess, decent in drafting, some years good, some years bad, it's going to be a while right before that we can get into that unanimous, full strength, full steam ahead sort of roster. So in my opinion, this Bills season, as a Bills fan, say that it doesn't end with us raising a Lombardi, then in my opinion, I think that is a complete disappointment. So expectations are very high. This week didn't help, especially around Bills media yesterday, which I was so livid. My anxiety was through the damn roof when I heard that Stephon Diggs did not end up showing up to practice. I blame Sean McDermott for this because as it was uncovered today, this was an excused absence for Stephon Diggs. Apparently, the overall timeline was that he was there Monday for his pre-minicamp physical. Tuesday, he was there sitting in on film sessions, had a meeting with Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane, and then I guess it got heated, and then Sean McDermott was just like, you know what, it's probably best for us if you just go home for an excused absence so you can cool off. If Sean McDermott were to simply say during that interview, saying, yeah, Diggs is out with an excused absence, he'll be there tomorrow, rather than the whole BS, oh, I'm very concerned, and you have CBS Sports and you have ESPN freaking out, like dropping these dumb articles about trade destinations for Stephon Diggs. First off, us trading him, I honestly think that any GM that would willingly take on $45 million worth of dead cap should be fired immediately. I don't care who toxic it is. I don't care who.
Wait, he's not there anymore.
Exactly. I don't care how toxic the guy is. Don't do that. Okay. So that was completely blasphemous, but was glad to see him at practice today. He seemed to be fine. He was working on a new handshake with Josh Allen. I love the way that like these new receivers are starting to mesh in well. My only question marks are a couple of things. Number one, I do want to see what Gabe Davis can do with this more limited role going on into the 2023 season. Last year, I felt like that he was called upon to be too much. He was called upon to be a wide receiver too, and I feel like his overall skill set couldn't live up to that responsibility. Now that we ended up bringing in a new pass catcher in Dalton Kincaid, which, by the way, has been impressing tremendously in OTAs, in overall minicamp, the hype is real, according to what all of the reporters are saying. I'm really hoping that that becomes Josh Allen's second target completely out of the slot. Because when it came down to any of our red zone struggles last year, it had to do with the fact that we didn't have a credible threat coming out of the slot. Back in the day when we were top 5, top 3 in red zone efficiency, think about what our wide receiver room looked like. The common denominator was an absolute stud coming out of the slot, and that was Cole Beasley in his prime when he was still a baller. Last year, we didn't have that, hence why Diggs was always getting double or triple teamed. We all know we didn't have a run game. I'm really hoping that Damian Harris can really turn it on this year and become that RB1. I know everyone's pumped about James Cook this year, ladies and gentlemen, but for Bills fans that are watching this, Damian Harris, if he stays healthy, that's going to be our RB1. If he can stay healthy, that guy could easily give you 1,000 yards. He's that power back you're looking for. So those two additions, while not like the biggest names in the world, it makes our offense slightly better. And the only way that I'm looking to improve offensively because from a statistical standpoint, Dable and Dorsey were very, 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 very close. So when people are trying to grab the pitchforks and chase Dorsey out the window or out of the city of Buffalo, keep in mind, statistically, not much different. But the only key difference was red zone efficiency. And I sincerely believe that those pieces we brought in, it's going to be something I'm going to be looking for, and hopefully it gets implemented into the season, because I was so frustrated in our red zone offense last year. I hope that these two are where it's at. Steve,
Dan, we've talked about your team on my channel, the fan base, and here's a outlook, and I want to get your take if you think it's accurate or way off. Okay. Our view of what's going on with Buffalo right now is they're imploding from within. The Leslie Frazier situation is very, it raises some eyebrows. And I understand there's two different working theories, that he was going to be fired, and because he's respected, they let him, they basically said, we'll let you leave, on your own volition, and we'll make it not look like you got fired. And there's another theory that there's so much stuff that's going wrong right now, and McDermott just doesn't have great control within that organization, that Leslie Frazier said, I'll do exactly what Vic Fangio did, take a year off, come back and be the hottest thing on the market, which, by the way, I believe will happen with him. And then the other thing is too, when this whole news kind of came out in the last 48 hours about Stephon Diggs, I think it's a testament of, in my opinion, and some Dolphins fans' opinion, that they're just, it doesn't look good over there right now. You guys look like you're in a lot of trouble, and it looks like there's stuff within house that you guys just don't have control of. And when your star player isn't showing up for training camp, OTAs, and your head coach is making statements like he's really concerned, and you've lost a great coach in Leslie Frazier, and you haven't been able to re-sign certain players. Some of them did re-sign, but some of them didn't. There's definitely some question marks. So my question to you, is that off or is that on?
So there's a couple of things right there. Number one, I do believe that Leslie Frazier was sort of very politely asked to leave. I don't think that I would consider him to be an all-time great. I thought that he was fantastic. He always had our defense up in the top 5 as far as statistics were concerned. But the issue with him was that he never adapted. He was married to his scheme. He loved that zone scheme almost to a fault. And that's exactly why we ended up getting destroyed by Cincinnati in that playoff game that last year. Last week, if you were to ask me, Dan, is there a culture issue, right? And so is there a culture issue? I would have said absolutely not. I think that the coaches and the players are on the exact same page. I do believe right now that we are entering the bickering Bills era, because that happened back in '89. Right before we ended up going on the Super Bowl run for 4 years in a row, where there was, animosity between players and coaches, etc. Based off of the interviews that I got yesterday from Josh Allen, from Von Miller, etc., when he was saying, hey, there's some things outside of football right now that we need to work better out with our communication. So I hope it's not correct. I hope that we follow suit and we go into that bickering Bills era, because we all know what's next. Okay, that's like when the team
4 straight Super Bowl losses.
No. 4 straight Super Bowls. One win. Give me one. And so I think that Bills fans should definitely be concerned, man. I mean, I think that all the signs are on the wall right now that I think that there's definitely some sort of miscommunication between the players and the coaching staff.
The Dolphins fans are not 100% off. There's a reason for us to kind of feel the way that we feel, but maybe because we're Dolphin fans, we're reading way more into it than what it is. But there is some smoke there to this fire.
Has to be. I can't speak on how serious it is. I can't speak on how serious this entire situation is. I just feel like when I'm hearing interviews and all of these buzzwords and the miscommunication between Diggs' agent and then his agent being like, I had no idea what the hell McDermott's talking about. He was there. What does he mean he's very concerned? I literally just talked to him when he was in the facility. I just FaceTimed the guy. He was in the Bills facility. So I don't think it's as significant as people think, but I think there is some sort of animosity. But I have full confidence that we're going to be able to put everything together. Hopefully everybody has good conversations. Diggs today at practice looked happy from the videos I saw. I mean, he was playing around with Josh Allen. He was smiling with his receivers. I think that they just want more clear answers from a player side and perspective from the coach.
He was telling them about how it's going to feel to be a Dallas Cowboy and how the weather is so much better in Dallas than it is in
Oh
Buffalo.
no,
That's what he was saying.
way.
That's why he was smiling, Dan. Let's be honest, okay?
Oh man.
Let me just say this, right? This man is getting paid $23.5 million.
Yeah.
There's no way this man is holding out. There is no way this man is not going to play for the Buffalo Bills. Dolphins fans, this is wishful thinking. You know that Buffalo is a team to beat, so you're trying to do everything you can to try to read into the fact that maybe there is some type of.
I clearly admitted, Master at Work, that there was some okay, we're probably reading more into this than maybe what it is. But Dan did confirm to me that there is something that's off, and so we're not. There. We also said there's no way anybody's taking that contract. And to Dan's, if any GM pays a dead cap of $45 million, they're stupid. And I agree with him.
So by
logic of his contract, there's nobody that's going to go for it except somebody in my morning show this morning did say, and by the way, I don't agree with it or see it ever happening. Well, they could just trade up Devontae Adams' contract for Stephon Diggs and just trade places. And I'm like, well, that's stupid. That's never going to happen. But that theory was brought up to me.
That would be a win for Buffalo if that ever happened. I think Devontae Adams is better than Diggs.
Yeah, for sure. I just like Diggs' familiarity with the offense. I think that Devontae would have a little bit of a learning curve, at least for a couple of games. And so I think it would be like a sort of a healthy trade-off. But regardless, as far as our roster is concerned, like Tyson was just saying, I mean, even before we went live, I told him, I was like, bro, you put me in the most toxic work environment on the face of the planet, but if they were depositing $23 million into my bank account, sign me up. I could work there for a damn year. 110%. It's just is what it is. But
yeah, Diggs needs to grow the hell up. His Instagram post is very childish. He's very immature. He had the same problems in Minnesota. He needs to realize, listen, bro, you know what you signed up for. You came to Buffalo knowing damn well their history and their history of losing. It's not like you came to a franchise that's accustomed to winning. So don't get upset. I mean, Minnesota, you came from a franchise that's also lost 4 Super Bowls. So let's not act like this was going to be easy, bro. Listen, you win in Buffalo, you're going to be a legend forever. That's another thing people need to realize. You win with the Jets, you're going to be a legend forever. He needs to realize the reward that he will be able to receive if he were to win a Super Bowl with the Bills is nothing like anything else.
Earlier, he had another $10 donation earlier, Dan.
Okay, yeah, most definitely. We got to go through a couple of these super chats, and then we are also opening up to the Patreon members. That link is now currently in the Patreon wall, and then also for all of our YouTube members that are on that tier. That is there as well. So if you want to come on, ask us a question. We have a couple people in the background already, but let's read off some of these guys. Daniel Taylor comes in, says, Stephen D, that 2022 season was special for the offense. Does it continue in 2023, or does Mike McDaniel have something else up his sleeve?
I thank you for the $10 donation, Daniel. Here's what I think, man. There's no reason for me to think that Mike McDaniel is going to take a step back. He went into his postseason press conference this past season basically saying the mistakes that he made, which a lot of Dolphin fans knew and owned up to it. And, by some of, what he is trying to implement as far as personnel is concerned, by bringing back the same running backs, which I get some Dolphin fans are questioning to a certain extent, but I love the familiarity with everybody, right? There's nobody that's learning anything really new except the rookies that are in the building. I think that there's no reason for me to think that they're not going to be a top 10 offense this year. And if Tua can find a way to be healthy, I think they can even improve upon what they did last year. I think the writing's there for it to happen,
Love it.
Let's hope that Mike McDaniels chooses a better hiding spot for his vape pen other than his sleeve.
So apparently he said that he quit. So on Barstool, some podcasts, he was just like, let's just say that I don't do that anymore since all the articles I read.
He did admit he
was doing it. Yeah.
He did admit to doing it, that it was a vape pen.
Yo, listen, man.
Not in so many words,
his
but
fix, man. His nicotine fix. Nothing
I
wrong.
ain't mad at my boy.
So it's not a gateway to a crack pipe.
As long as
Master at Work.
Gateway to a crack pipe. Okay. Forces SRW comes in and says, "Go Bills! Love seeing Diggs back and Josh on cover." Dan, sorry So Dramac, no, dude, you're cool, man. You're cool. And thank you so much for coming in. I know that most Bills fans are very excited to see what we saw today. Onward, baby.
It's a lot better than it was 48 hours ago.
That's what I'm saying. No one is talking about a trade. Please stop inflating details. I'm not particularly sure what you're talking about as far as like the whole Diggs situation, but I can say that I saw at least like 3 articles alluding to the fact. In fact, I saw one from like a major sports network being like top 5 trade destinations for Stephon Diggs. So there was definitely nonsense articles about that for a minute. MB41 comes in. Dan, you can't be feeding into the Dolphins. Crap, man. Yo, listen, Bills fan, he's coming in. He's letting it know. Listen, man, like, I mean, I'm not saying that like it's a toxic environment over at One Bills Drive, but there's something going on, man. There's something going on.
That's not 100.
It's not me feeding into it. It's just me feeding the like.
It's the reality of what there is something that is not right there at the moment.
Something between the players and the coaches. I'm not saying it's a big thing. I'm not saying it's going to affect our season by any means. Look at the Pickering Bills, man. We got together. I'm just saying that there's some red flags. That's all I'm saying. Dolphins fans praying for a Bills implosion. Pray on the downfall, baby. Pray on the downfall. Now we are going to go on ahead and let in our Patreon members, starting off Bills fans.
Shout out to Justin Vanderberg, by the way. Dalvin to Miami all day, my guy.
Dalvin to Miami. Justin's coming in. He's speaking it into existence. Troy, sorry for keeping you waiting.
Hey, what's happening, guys? How's it going?
What's going on, man? What's up for us today?
Not much, but I would say the problem that Diggs has is Isaiah spoke out about it, about not changing the routes in the snow game against Cincinnati because he was in Indianapolis, was able to open his mouth about it, but I'm sure that was a conversation he had with Diggs. So Diggs wants to make sure that Ken's going to be on the same page and willing to work with the receivers when the weather's different. It's not big deal. It's not a problem. Things are going to be fine. They're going to work through it. And, you know, the Dolphins trying to make up a big old hoopla.
It ain't the Dolphins, bro. The entire media is reporting.
Yeah, but I do also think it comes down to Brandon Beane and Sean. When Diggs left, they should have got on the phone and talked to him right after that game or soon after, gave him a week, and then called him and said, you know, can we meet and try to figure something out? You know, because they knew he had an issue and had it dealt with before the season even started.
Yeah.
They're a little late to the ball, and that's the only problem. If they're through it, it's going to work out fine. Ken, I'm sure, understands what he did wrong. And also, Dan, I do think James is going to be a bigger part than you're saying. I think that he is going to, he's more like Thurman Thomas. I mean, he's going to be catching balls from the backfield. He's going to be a receiver. He can go deep. He can burn. Most guys running deep. He's proved it. He's a good receiver, and he's a good running back. Besides fumbling on the first carry he ever had, but the guy is he's good.
And so McDermott is notorious. If a rookie fumbles the football, like we don't see that man for 6 games. And so I'm not sure if y'all like that, but like you don't see that man for 6 games, one of the two. But really just like going back on that thing, like really with what Isaiah McKenzie had to say, I think really what all the players want is that they don't want to just trust the process. Like they want like a detailed plan. Just be like, okay, if we're in this scenario, what kind of plays are we going to be calling so we can adjust, so we can adapt to what we're seeing? That's my theory behind it, is that they want more of the communication of game plans during the scenarios before, which is absolutely crazy. Troy,
but I think I agree 100%.
Troy, my boy.
Great job, guys. And, you know, it's going to be a tough division, but the Bills still own it, and they're going to win it again. The Jets have probably the best possibility with the Aaron Rodgers pickup in their defense to give us a bit of a fight, but we're going to still overcome. In Miami, you know, I don't think that extra weight's going to help Tua when he falls.
That's that positivity, Troy. Thank you so much. Troy, thank you so much, man. We'll see you around, brother.
Troy.
Let's go, Buffalo. That's right. Love Troy, the man. Long time.
I don't know. Love is a strong word, Dan.
Oh, man. Okay, we have another Bills fan coming in here. Andy Johnson, King Allen. What's going on, brother? How's the good life? Yo, Andy.
What's up? Yeah, I'm here.
What's going on,
Sorry,
man?
I
How you
had to
feeling about
disconnect from my
coming
headphones.
back to practice? Were you as nervous as I was yesterday?
No, I thought the media was blowing it out of proportion from what it was. Because I feel like
Diggs blew it out of proportion
it's been
on
building
Instagram
since the winter, and it was going to build towards something. The media was looking for something. They finally got it, but I wasn't worried. His contract's untradeable. He wasn't going nowhere. He's going to be here for the next at least 3 to 4 years.
Absolutely. And so, like Tyson said, like man's due $23 million in his bank account. Why the hell would
Exactly.
You also guys have to blame Diggs too, because he did post that crap on Instagram, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that was really like stuff fans were posting before, and he was just like kind of retweeting.
He was
it through
hitting like
Instagram.
button and retweeting stuff.
No, I'm talking about the
Yeah.
Instagram post.
Yeah, their Instagram post was something somebody posted like.
Oh,
4
I thought it
months
was
ago on
him
his page.
posting that.
So
He didn't actually say that.
He literally like almost like he just like copied and pasted it on his Instagram.
Oh,
yeah, like I have no idea where that quote comes from. It has to be a song or an interview or something. But like when I searched that term on Twitter, there was like hundreds of the exact same thing, but it was dated months before.
Yeah, months ago.
Yeah. So like I said, I didn't really see anything onto it than what it was.
okay. Well, I rescind my my thoughts. I thought that was actually him that said that.
Definitely wild. King Allen, Andy Johnson, my boy. Thank you so much for tuning in as always. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
All right, so now we have a Dolphins fan coming on, Steven.
Okay? Yeah. What's
this
up?
guy, I love this guy. This guy's on my show. Shows some support. He trashes Josh Allen every now and again, but then sometimes he shows me some love. You know, like it's like a love-hate toxic relationship. I love it. My guy Glenn, what's going on?
Hey, hello, you guys. How you doing there?
What's up, my guy? Fins up,
Pretty
baby.
good.
Fins up.
But yeah, hey, I came on here to talk to Tyson and just run his team into the ground, but he just gave up already.
It's not even fun.
Hey, but I will tell you this, Tyson. Your team is going to win more games than you think.
They're going to win more than 3 games.
And on top of that, the team that beats New England twice will win the division. The team that loses to New England twice will lose the division.
We might get swept by everybody in the division, so you guys can all.
I'm telling you,
I don't see the Jets, Dolphins, or Bills losing to them.
Honestly, we might get a train ran on us this season. A straight train.
No, I'm telling you, New England knows will play defense. They will run the ball and they will dink and dunk. That's what they're going to do.
Well,
and they will keep. And because it's a division game, it will stay close. And then, of course, the Jets will do something to screw it up and lose.
Ryan, oh no, Ryan.
Nah, it's not going to happen. We got Mr. Clutch. We got Aaron Rodgers. We got the defense. It's all going to fall into place. I put my $100 on the Jets at the beginning of the season, or whatever. I'm feeling good.
They'll screw it up somewhere. But here's the thing. Hey, let me tell you the story of me. I was so much of a fan fanatic that I had this TV. You know those big TVs that sat on the floor, and they're huge and stuff. Well, my kids would come in. My kids would come in the football. Now, back in the day, you couldn't hit pause or nothing, right? I don't care what it was, what game I was watching. They would always stop right in the middle of the TV at the best moment of the game. So after a while, my kids had learned how to.
He probably had the antenna where he made his kids stand in front of the TV.
No. My kids would crawl under the TV.
I'm telling you, that's what happened.
My kids would crawl under the TV so they wouldn't affect the TV when the game was on.
A question: Were you alive during the last Dolphins Super Bowl?
He was.
Yes, I was.
So I have a question, and I don't know if this is true or not. I heard that the Dolphins last Super Bowl parade that fans were in horses and buggies. Is this factually correct?
Hey.
In their Super Bowl parade.
The problem is back then they didn't do.
Let's ask the Bills fans about their Super Bowl parade.
It
never happened.
Back then, Super Bowl parades did not happen. They just didn't have them.
Okay.
No, they didn't have Super Bowl parades back then. That only started in the 80s or something like that.
Yeah.
Late 80s and stuff. It didn't. Super Bowl parades was not big. I think San Francisco kind of started it and stuff like that. Maybe Raiders, but back in the 60s, 70s, there hardly ever happened and stuff. And they, let's put it this way, they might have happened, but you never heard about them because we didn't have TV like we did.
I love it.
Glenn, fins up, baby. I appreciate you, my guy.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate everybody. You guys do a good job. I will always support everybody on the round table and keep it up. And I'll start looking into the other shows and stuff, but I'll talk to y'all later.
Hell yeah, Glenn. We'll see you tomorrow on my stream, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
The man, the myth, the legend, Glenn. Coming on. We do have a couple of super chats, and then we'll just go around the table, wrap some things up, and then go from there. We have Justin coming in saying Dalvin in Miami. I think I might have already read that one, but we'll see. For Fortnite, I won $3K. That's sick, man. It's absolutely sick. I am not good at Fortnite at all. Sean, yo, this dude.
Level 2 noob. Okay, level 2 noobs. I love level 2 noob. But he always, because I have Bills fans that come on my show. He gets mad at me because I let Bills fans come on my show.
Oh, so I have a question, Steven. I heard a rumor that Mark, the Bills fan, used to be a Dolphins fan. I seen the stream of him admitting that he was a Dolphins fan.
I can neither confirm nor deny that is an
I have the stream saved.
% accurate statement or not.
And everybody, I don't know if you guys know who Mark the Bills fan is.
I'm no Tekashi 6ix9ine.
But I watched the stream of him confirming that he was a Dolphins fan.
There might be video.
There is. I have the evidence. Somebody sent me the evidence. Let me just ask you, like, I can't even fathom the fact that he used to be a Dolphins fan and abandoned the team and become a Bills fan because
he's not accepted.
That's insane to me.
That could be why he's always on my channel. He's not allowed on Bills channels. Is that true? Is that real?
He said he was a huge Dan Marino fan. As soon as the Bills started getting good, he switched over to the Bills. That's crazy.
Hey.
Oh man, holy hell. Okay, well. Sean Noob, he said his piece. But hey, Steven, you know what? There is always room on the
Daniel Teller, another Dolphins fan.
Jets fans go gaga over Aaron Rodgers like he's the second coming of Joe Namath. Shake my head.
He's probably he's more like
he doesn't throw as many interceptions as Joe Namath. He's going to be the second coming of Aaron Rodgers. I love it.
He's going to be the second coming of Brett Favre.
I'll take that, dude. We were 8-3. We were like the top seed.
So were we, my guy. We'd be more than happy to see Brett Favre 2.0.
Dude, I don't think that the Jets would have won a Super Bowl if they had Brett Favre as a quarterback in 09 or 2010. 100%. We were 8-3. We were number one team in the whole NFL.
And
when he tore his rotator cuff.
And what happened?
He tore his rotator cuff
because he's old.
He had his best season of his career. The next season,
Brett Favre ruined
game of the year to go to the playoffs. My guy, it was amazing.
He was a quarterback that got traded against his will to a team he didn't want to go to. Aaron Rodgers wanted to come here. It's totally different than Brett Favre. He's 10 times the quarterback Brett Favre was.
Aaron Rodgers did not want to come there. He wanted to come to Miami. Miami said no. Nobody wants to go to the Jets. Y'all have to pay an ungodly amount of money for players to come play on your team. Nobody wants to go to the Jets. Let's just get that straight, okay?
Dolphins fans should love Brett Favre because he's the only reason why the Dolphins win a division that year because he won the last game of the season. Am I right about that, Ryan? Or did he lose the last game of the season?
It doesn't help. It doesn't hurt that Matt Castle played most of that year too.
And that was the reason. And wasn't that last game of the season against Miami?
You guys won 10 games that year or 11 games and missed out on the playoffs.
We were 11-5.
I think the Jets were like 9-7, and I think the Dolphins and Patriots were both 10-6.
No, the last game of that season was it Dolphins Jets, Ryan?
It was during the at the same time the World Cup was going on, and Argentina was playing France, I think, that day, and it was a big deal, and that was a big day, man. That was awesome. Chad
it had the Jets won that game, the Patriots would have won the division again.
Chad Pennington set the Jets packing, and it was great, and I loved every second of it.
I love Chad. I have no problem with that. But Aaron Rodgers is totally not going to be the same thing as Brett Favre. But I would welcome
you're
the
probably
success
not
that Brett Favre had just with a quarterback that wants to be here.
I love that. I love that. Last super chat to come in, and then we're going to go around the table, let everyone know what's going on with our own individual channels. One last announcement, and then we will let you guys enjoy the rest of your Wednesday night. Will the Dolphins QB stay healthy? I feel like a lot of us are looking to figure out that same answer, my friend. I feel like a lot of us are looking to find out that same answer. Thank you so much for your generosity, everybody that donated to a super chat. The easiest way to support this channel is quite simply just by smashing that like button. It's free. It takes less than a second. And it really helps us out with that YouTube algorithm. So if you have not already, go ahead and show some love to that like button. And guys, what is going on with your channels now that we are in the lull of the off season? Starting off with you, Ryan. What's good?
Yeah, I'm just kind of ramping up, getting ready for the Jets start. We're going to have Hard Knocks this offseason. We got our Hall of Fame game coming. We don't know it for sure, but I would be shocked if they picked the Bears, the Saints, or the Commanders over the Jets, given all the storylines. But I do think the Jets are going to get Hard Knocks. I think with the Jets starting the Hall of Fame game the first week of August, we're going to start training camp middle of July this year. So looking forward to it. Going to do my every throw from Aaron Rodgers. So if you guys want to see what good quarterback play looks like, you just come over to my channel and just watch the every throw each week.
The every throw series. Now that's way.
I've been doing it with Zach Wilson for the last 2 years.
Right there.
So I've been doing it with Zach Wilson and like any quarterback that starts for the Jets, but you could watch every throw from a Jets quarterback and it's clipped real fast. So you could watch it in like 7 minutes, or if Zach Wilson's quarterback, you could watch it in like a minute.
Nice. I absolutely love it. Definitely go check out Ryan's channel, Jets Talk 24/7. Guy does a great job. He is a veteran of YouTube. He's been at it for a while. Great audience, great content creator. Highly recommend that you check him out if you haven't already. Steven, what's going on with you, brother? What's going on with your channel during this lull of the off season until training camp starts?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on tonight. I want to thank TD Fins Talk, who wasn't able to join us this evening and made the call to me from the bullpen to fill in. So I came in on in relief, and I think I did a pretty good job. I think it was a good closer.
I think you did, Steve.
I love coming up here and hanging out with you guys. You guys are absolutely amazing. Shout out to Richie. I'm glad he's not here. That New York Jets fan, can't stand that guy.
Love Rich. Don't you talk shit about Richie.
Richie,
I love Richie.
Come over there and I'm going to squish you.
Don't do that. I don't want no smoke. I'm sorry. And Dan and Master at Work, you guys are great. Thank you so much for having me on. Miami Sports Music is our YouTube channel. I do a morning show most weekday mornings. This off season has been kind of a hit or miss. I've been doing some other stuff, trying to get some other stuff done. For example, if you're a Miami Dolphins fan and you want to go to Philadelphia, DC, or Baltimore this year, Miami Sports Music is putting a tailgate together for all three of those. We're doing a meet and greet the night before. We're doing a tailgate the day of. And we also have tickets, upper level and lower level, available. So if you want to get those tickets, I'm actually going to put them in the chat right now for the Philly Finvasion, the FedEx Takeover, and the Baltimore Beatdown. If you guys want more information, just go to my channel, look at any of the videos I do. Clock Blockers is our morning show. We usually do it from like 9:30 till noon, and we have great guests on. So Clock Blockers, the #1 Miami fan morning show right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. And it's basically catered to Dolphins fans. As you can see, I'm a big Dolphins fan, but we also talk Heat, Panthers. We're going to start talking some Messi coming to Miami.
Nobody cares about the MLS, okay, Steven?
So it's good stuff, man. We love it. And I love my fans, and I love Dolphins fans, and I love everybody who supports the AFC East Roundtable. Thank you so much, Dan, for allowing me to fill in tonight.
Yeah, man. Not an issue at all. Master at Work.
I also love Stephen D's morning show because I get a lot of my delusional clips from that show.
You do. I've noticed some of your videos. I'm like, I know that guy. That's me.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm just really excited for this event that we're going to be hosting. I will be there with Richie, Dan, and TD. So meet and greet, and we're going to do a live show. I'm just excited to meet everybody. Like I said, shout out to Ryan. I love his channel as well. Great Jets fan. But as far as me goes, like I said, I'm going to be ramping up my Patriots content now that there's really nothing else to talk about. But it will be. People are going to say it's going to be negative. A lot of Patriots fans have unfollowed me, unsubbed me. This is fine with me. I'm not going to indulge in any delusional takes this season. I'm going to be completely realistic. I am rooting against the Patriots. I hope they fail. They fall on their face. Anything less than 4 wins.
You want what's his face? You want Caleb Williams, don't you?
I don't. I actually want to fail next season too. I'm looking at Arch Manning in 2026.
2026 to the Pats. That's what's going on, guys. As we wrap up, definitely go check out those tickets, man. We are so excited about week 1, AFC East Roundtable first event. That link is in the top of the live chat. For anybody that's in the waiting room for Patreon members, sorry if you are coming in late. We are wrapping the show. But next week, we'll just go ahead and give you about 2 to 3 minutes in the meantime. Thank you so much. Sorry for the inconvenience. But as far as my channel is concerned, I do want to let everybody know that I am now streaming twice a day, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. EST. That's where we just have Dom Mafia Live, where we discuss all things NFL, sometimes Buffalo Bills, and then also Bills Mafia Happy Hour at 5 p.m. EST. So if you want to come in, you want to talk your junk, if you're a Dolphins fan, Jets fans, Pats fan, whatever, you're more than welcome to. I've been enjoying it. It's been great. And as far as the AFC East Roundtable, man, make sure you mark your calendars. We are live every single Wednesday at 8 p.m. EST. And I just can't wait for next week. We have a great offseason up in the way, guys. Love y'all. We'll see you next week. Deuces.
Peace. Fins up.
Fins up.